Hey! In 1891, the Edison Company demonstrated the prototype of something they called a kinetoscope. This was a device invented by one of its employees, William Kennedy Lord Dixon, that allowed a single individual peeping into it to see something they had most likely never seen before: moving pictures. By 1894, kinetoscope parlors had opened up in New York and London, offering their patrons a choice of films to view through the eyepiece mounted on the top of this innovative mechanism. Only 1 year later, kinetoscopes were overshadowed by the Lumiere brothers' introduction of cinema in Paris. This allowed an entire audience to view the same moving pictures projected onto a screen, and it also kicked off the draining of people's finances by separating them from their money in exchange for the experience. Over the next several decades, national film industries were established, and the moving pictures evolved from simple black and white scenes of events, foreign lands, and short comedies to longer, more engrossing films telling stories with a narrative. And today it's probably pretty difficult for most of us to imagine a world without our favorite movies in it, without those cliche phrases that we all have stuck in our heads. You can't handle the truth. May the force be with you. And my favorite, I'll be back. Today on Average Joe, we ask the question.
So, does the American films or TV, does Hollywood in fact, are they a true representation, a good representation of life in America?
Yes.
So
that is the question. So we're going to try to go over this. We've both watched a few movies. We've seen movies over time. There's probably no one in the U.S. I wouldn't say no one, but it's probably difficult for me to imagine folks that haven't seen at least a couple of movies that represent America.
Right.
Within that they're living in the U.S.
Yeah. So that being said, I'd like to say welcome back to Average Joe
Daily Show.
And we've been out for a little bit because we actually had a long weekend, right?
Yes, Memorial Day was a long weekend.
Yep, and last week business started picking back up.
Yep, I see that. There's a trend of business picking up.
Yeah.
I'm getting busier. I know you're getting busier.
I'm getting busier, yeah. On top of that, I just wanted to allude to something that I'm doing. I just sent some of my photos to the Bangor Daily News. Sweet. And they're going to be doing a story about the project I'm working on right now. That people that, if you're following me on Facebook at all, at Memory Maker Photography on Facebook, you know that I've been trying to lighten up the spirit in the community. Mm-hmm. And one of the few ways that I've been doing that is doing porch portraits for families. But the most recent project that I've been doing is prom porch portraits. So it's my own PPP rollout plan. It's really to help support the seniors, the high school seniors in our area that are missing out on all of their high school activities like prom, graduation, project graduation, spring sports. So I just did a huge group up in Old Town High School recently, and now I just finished a couple from Bangor High. Tomorrow I'll be photographing some prom dresses from some seniors in Herman High School. So, and it's totally free. I stand away from their porch, take pictures, and it really has, I guess it's making stories now. People are actually getting wind of it. And so I'll be in the paper. It's gonna be an official document. I really appreciate being on the paper because it's now in the archives of the history of the area.
Yep.
So that's, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's what's been keeping me busy lately, along with my clients starting to give me some more phone calls too.
Yeah, it probably gets people more motivated to get out and to get excited about things moving onward.
Right.
Getting photos out on their porch.
Well, it's something normal.
You're in lockdown. It kind of sucks. You know, you need to have some normalcy, some semblance of a normalcy.
Right. I mean, it's not completely normal.
No.
But some of them even I got word that, hey, this is actually even better than what my regular prom would be because we were only there for a few minutes at prom and we would leave. And with me, they have a fun, undivided attention to them being a couple or just showing off their prom dresses or tux. And this time we photographed something from Henry's formal wear and bridal boutique. They're right at the Penobscot Plaza downtown. But
Nice.
anyways, they supplied a lot of
Leaving the scene
people.
for a second.
So they supply a lot of the area kids dresses and tux, and they're still in business right now. So make sure you give them a call and rent some cool stuff from them. We also did some from Blush Bridal, and I know that there's another bridal company. They're gonna go back to Brewer. They were in the mall. Anyways, there was another.
The big mall. Bangor
Yeah,
Mall
Bangor
Boulevard.
Mall. Yeah, right.
Not to
Yeah.
be mistaken with the desert island of the airport mall.
Well, hey, the Bangor Mall is the same way right
tumbleweeds.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Bangor Mall is the same way right now. So today, I'm sorry to make that part really long, but today we are really going to talk about movies and how they represent Americans. And I thought of this idea. I came to Sean with the idea because I'm like, I asked some kids that were like from overseas, what did you think about Americans before you came here? And what did you think about us afterwards? And I got an overwhelming response that were very similar. The first response was, when we saw movies and films and TV shows about Americans, we thought everyone had swimming pools, everyone was rich, and everything was just...
Yeah, we are. Everyone over here is rich.
Everything was, kind of like, streets paved with gold, whatever, They just had an unrealistic view of what Americans were. And then when they came, they're here like, wow, you guys are just like us.
Yeah, reality check.
You have poor, you have rich, you have smart, and you have not so smart people here too.
Yeah.
So,
We have classes, we have statuses.
right.
Just like every other country out there.
So they really, and it was consistent, the response of what they thought Americans were like.
So they're getting a false impression on the outside.
They are, yes. So, but I can see where they do, because it's not necessarily the movie's fault, in my opinion. We can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the genre sometimes. It's also like a particular snapshot of a specific group of people, and then they just, so it's kind of like how people make opinions about certain classes or races of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you just have a snapshot, a little window showing what life is like, you kind of expect the rest of America to be that way, which is not. America is very diverse.
And I think we do that the same with other countries.
I think
if
so.
I see a film about another country.
Right. I mean, when I see a film about British people, you just think they're very more refined, more well put together than us, proper.
Yeah, proper, eating crumpets and tea.
And they'd never get into arguments or whatever.
And big teeth.
Unless you watch a broadcast of a parliament talking with each other, then you see people screaming at each other and stuff like that. But
And
anyways,
they get into it.
yeah, but overall in that type of movie, it just kind of like a whimsical look back in time. It's like days have passed, because it's kind of like America's ancestors. So you kind of have this idea of a utopia of what life must have been like before all this crazy stuff was in place, like all the technology that we have today.
Oh, I'm sure it was not a utopia.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
100% positive that
I'm-
even without my living the eras of back in the past.
Right. So that's how we came up with the topic for the day. And so have you picked a movie? I've picked a movie. I think
I'm gonna be really honest. Is with all the movies I've seen in my lifetime, and even like the ones that I've recently watched that were supposed to be like the epitomes of America, and to me they only show a small segment of the population. They show a small part of an ideal or something like that. So they accentuate on an ideal, or they focus in on an ideal. And we had been reading, I think last week, about some of the breakdowns of how movies represent this, this, or this.
Right.
Usually it's like justice, bad guys versus good guys, sports.
Right.
You know, there's some genre that they represent or that they focus in on, and then the American way of life is intertwined with that in some way.
Right. So you only get a flavor of the American way of life in most movies because they're so focused on a particular story they want to tell. So I know when I'm producing a video or short film, I want to make sure that the point gets across what I'm trying to say and not get kind of sidetracked by all these other things that go on in life that does make it more whole. But when you have a limited time to share that story, you have to focus on just that one little topic. So I think it's not necessarily the film's fault. It's whatever the idea or story it is that they want in the forefront of the film.
Absolutely. Perspective. You got to focus in on perspective.
Yeah. So that being said, it really depends on the producers' ideas of what it is that information that they want to be prominent in that video or movie. So, what movie did you pick?
Well, I had a hard time actually picking a specific movie because, like I said, I feel that they all focus in on a small ideal.
Well, so I picked a couple. I picked a movie and I picked a TV show.
Okay.
That kind of talks about it. Is that recording?
No.
Okay.
It's not recording.
It's not recording.
That is there as a prop right now.
It is a prop.
Because it's been in the past episode.
Yeah, because I'm like, if I tap this table, it's going to make a loud noise.
No.
That's why I asked him. So Forrest Gump was one.
Yep, Forrest Gump's classic.
I mean, that is, there's a lot of older films that I can pick from, but Forrest Gump, he kind of takes it through his life. So different things that happen in different decades within his life are like a snapshot of the history of America and how it dealt with war, how it dealt with the Vietnam War, and then the kind of the hippie era and all that stuff that happened during that time, and then entrepreneurship and things like that just fell on his lap.
And also his mental condition, of the character's mental condition, and how he was treated during that era.
Right. Yes. And I mean that still carries down. It shows how I think it doesn't just show America as a society. I think it showed the human behavior of seeing someone who is different, whether it's a mental condition or physical condition or whatever it is, or even color or dialect, how they speak. So I thought Forrest Gump covered a lot of topics. I think that's what makes it a standout movie for a lot of people, is that it connects with people in many different ways, many different
over
people.
that timeline.
Yeah,
like it's got a large timeline. So
I mean, it dealt with a single parent, issues with fidelity issues, things with being rich, being poor, so it dealt with that. But it showed how, for me, when I watched that, it's just like, wow, the entrepreneurship, the things that come up from nothing, like the have a nice day T-shirt when he wiped his face when mud got on him.
Just a phrase.
Yeah, just a phrase, and the
and I've been to Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Bubba Gump Shrimp
in New York. I've been there and I've eaten at that place.
Well, it's just that to come up with like one ingredient. What many dishes can we sell from this one ingredient? So that to me is the entrepreneur's spirit here in America, and it's very makes me prideful to see some of these parts that just happen, and then how he, of course, all the different cameos of the big name superstars of the era, like Elvis Presley in his home, and then he goes to the White House to shake hands with. Who did he shake hands with?
The president.
Which president, though? Was it Nixon?
I can't remember.
I think it was Nixon.
I have not seen the film in forever.
I can't
remember what era that he went to go shake the presidency.
Yeah, I think it was Nixon. But anyways, I thought it really included a lot of pieces where you had a variety of snapshots instead of like one tiny snapshot of America.
Yep.
It has a more variety, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's why I picked that movie.
And I agree, it's a good pick too. I like that movie. Brilliant job, Tom Hanks. I mean,
I think he's one of those actors that can fit almost any role. But this particular role he did very well in.
did awesome at it.
I thought he did, and his counterpart, the girl that played Jenny,
Jenny.
she did good too.
Hey, Jenny.
With or without clothes, she looked good doing the part.
Oh.
And some very iconic things. I mean, his investment with Apple Computer, that was really cool too. So it really poked at all the different things that happened, all the big industries and companies that became like big and popular.
Yeah.
From his, he had a hand in everything type of thing. And then the ping pong table after he fought in the war.
Yep.
Being a ping pong champion and all that stuff, and people wanted to use his face to market their products.
And I think part of that is because his character was just living life.
Mm-hmm.
So we, as human beings, like I have hang-ups that prevent me from trying different things because I'm afraid I'm going to suck at it, and I don't want to suck at it.
Yeah.
But when your attitude is I'm just going to do it, and I don't care what other people think,
Yeah.
then man, you would succeed so much.
Well, I have to admit that I'm in the second mindset only because I think I want to say hi to people joining us. I'm sorry. I
But
didn't even
people are
say-
joining us.
There's a lot of people. I'm sorry. Hey, Steve.
We're just so like into this. Hey, Derek.
So Steve Wong is planning on reopening Tuesday. The Creative Arts Center, Red and Brewer. Michelle's here. Brian Ross is joining us. 3 other people. Oh my goodness. And then Sam Hallett joined us. Becky Sman. Ethan Johnson. Hey, Ethan. Long time, buddy. Darcy has joined us. Jeff Bandman. Rachel Finnemore. So
Yep.
thanks for just popping in, guys. I hope you watch this later if you don't have time to watch it live.
Yeah, and if you think about it, because of the question that we're asking, if you have a movie in your head, put it in the comments, like a movie that you feel really represents America.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So what movie did you pick?
All right, so I actually have a weird pick because
Okay.
I was thinking of a lot of different movies that I've seen over time, and they all just grab a certain perspective. So you have the perspective of a rich guy, you have a perspective of a poor guy. So I kind of wanted to grab that middle class perspective. So I'm going to go with something weird. It's called The Lake House. It's Keanu Reeves and Andrew
Of course. You're a Keanu Reeves.
Keanu
fan.
Reeves, love you, man. Love you, bro. And the reason I grabbed that movie
Because of The Matrix.
not because of The Matrix, because it shows 2 middle class people going through life.
Yeah.
It has a supernatural thing to it, but it depicts like Keanu Reeves' character going through his middle class life, Sandra Bullock going through her middle class life, and that to me is like where I've kind of hovered. So it fits my perspective a little more. So I think I gravitate to that. But other movies, if you really want to go wild, and this was mentioned in other comments, was Eddie Murphy's Coming to America.
Oh my goodness.
That is like a comedic view of getting shocked by the culture.
The culture shock of America, yeah.
But it's not a serious movie whatsoever.
No,
and it's,
you should not take it seriously.
don't take it serious.
But there are bits and pieces of truth to it.
there are. All these movies
That's
have little bits and pieces
That's
of
what
truth.
makes it like really fun to watch. Of course, when I first watched it with my wife, it was the TV version, and we went and watched the full version without
edits.
without edits, and I'm like, what is this?
What did he just say? Some curse words?
Oh my goodness! No, it was like anyways, watch the TV version. It's just as entertaining as the unedited version.
Well, yeah. So through my movie choices, I could say, okay, if you want to know about American schools, you would watch this particular movie. If you want to know about American wars, you watch this movie. And if you want to know about like justice, To Kill a Mockingbird was one that was recommended to us.
Right.
I just watched that last night, and that was good. Yet it focused more on the civil rights of the time. It was a 1962 movie, so that was really prevalent at the time, the separation between black and white. and it was about the justice of a wrongly accused black man, and I was like, okay, this is a fantastic movie, but it's not an all-encompassing.
No.
It's about justice that,
right.
even though justice did not prevail, it's about that fight for justice in America, that the equality. So
right. No, that's why I chose Forrest Gump right from the get-go, because it encompassed so much. Because it wasn't just one time period; it went through like maybe 3 decades.
Yep.
Which was nice, and you kind of got a bigger, broader picture of America and different parts of America, because he was in a war, he was in business, he was in sports, so war, sports, business.
You got it all.
Got it all, Gump. And then that relationship between his mother and his later on wife, Jenny.
Janae.
We go together like peas and carrots.
I don't know if I'd have married that girl.
See, these movies stick in our head, so these phrases will always.
That's right. Those are part of the cliched phrases that are stuck in your head.
Mm-hmm. So that is.
Get to the chopper.
So the other movie actually it's a TV show that I thought did a good job at representing America is. Well, it's like one time period, but it kind of carries on to the next generation, which is the Wonder Years. You remember the Wonder Years?
I remember that decade, that era of those people.
So it's like
I was never in any cliques. I never associate with any particular clique.
Yeah.
So I always feel like an outsider when I view these things.
Well, in school, I never felt like I was part of a particular group of people. I felt like I was gonna be friends with everyone and let the chips fall where they may, type of thing. I didn't really have a specific. I played sports. I was in drama. I did journalism, and I did all sorts of like art, drawings, and stuff, and paintings and stuff like that. And I was definitely not a bookworm. I didn't stay still.
Neither was I.
I was very active.
Though I did get A's.
I got A's until like my senior year. Oh.
The distractions.
Oh, so many distractions, man. Anyways.
Should put a thought bubble over your head and put some.
All you see is pictures.
So what is the TV series that you picked for this remembrance?
The Wonder Years takes place like in the 50s and then goes to the 60s some, and it's about a middle class family living in the suburbs, and he has school friends, and the relationship between he and his friends are very, I thought, ordinary. Pretty like every kid. The story talks about like every kid kind of goes through what this kid went through. You have arguments with your family members, your siblings. He had a sister and a brother, so he was always in a fight with them, and you can see the divide politically too. His parents were conservative, his sister was a hippie liberal, and you can kind of see how they couldn't see eye to eye on certain topics. But like family vacations were kind of shared in that, what it was like to live in the suburbs, the local swimming pool, local parks. So to me, it gave you a much better idea of what living in America was like. Not necessarily all of the conflicts that happen, but just enough of it. But living life like school, work, and all that stuff, I think it does a really good job. And I think the rest of the world would be good to ask their friends or family in America, hey, what movie should I watch if I really want to know what life is like in this particular area? And what I mean by particular area is not geographical area, but area of society.
Yep.
Like, okay, how does the poor live? How does the rich live? But I think the one thing that may or may not be represented very well, I just thought about this on the way here to the recording, is that Americans are very into volunteerism. They're a really giving group of people.
They are, actually.
And I don't know how well movies represent that. I think movies kind of represent the selfishness of Americans a lot.
Because we're supposed to be privileged.
Yeah.
We're a privileged lot over here in America, and we take things for granted. And
But-
a lot of us do.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, I do to a certain extent.
I think so too, but you got to balance that with the fact that the majority of Americans I know, they're most giving and they volunteer for just about anything that people can't, pay them for. It's just a value to like bring their community to work. They have ownership in their community, and part of that is to volunteer. And I feel that same way. That's why I volunteer as much as I can.
Yep. I wish I had known that topic was going to come up, because I had actually written an article on volunteering
Did you?
when I was doing my nonprofit, and I had numbers, like I had stats of the hours that people volunteer.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing. I didn't realize how many people volunteered X amount of hours above and beyond their work.
And not just the people that may be categorized as privileged by some, but the poor volunteer. It's just part of the American spirit.
Yep.
Whether you're rich or poor, you're going to volunteer. You're going to give. You're going to donate.
Yep.
Even if it's $1 or $5, sometimes to donate to a cause, or you tip a little extra or whatever. Or at the grocery store, I mean, you know how prevalent volunteering and donation is when the grocery store is like, oh, do you want to kind of like mark up
Round up
your
change.
Yeah, round up your chain and donate that to a certain group.
Yep.
And I'm not going to name a group because I don't want
Yeah.
to like give someone more importance than others.
I'd much rather volunteer my time than to give money, because money
Right.
can be misused, and
It can be
so many charities misuse money. And I know this from the stats that I've looked at, but there's a lot of good charities out there that money does help them. But I was like, I'll volunteer my time, I'll help,
right.
but I'm not going to give you any money.
Right. I mean, but rounding up is very simple. I've done that. I have to admit, I've done that because it's just a quick, easy way. Or buying those shamrocks or hearts and
Oh yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
they
that.
get popped up.
I'll do those things. But I know that some of the things that charities receive money for, they're not entirely it's people running it. It's imperfect. So.
Humans are humans, and there's temptation all around them. And
Right. So the Wonder Years, I thought, did a very good job. It talked about summer vacations, what that was like, and for the average American kid at the time, and the experiences shared in the Wonder Years still is experienced today in society. So because of its longevity that it covered, I mean, this was like, what? This maybe 90s, 80s or 90s, the Wonder Years.
I have no idea.
But anyways,
I have to be honest, I've never watched that.
but it's a fun show, and it's pretty realistic in my view of what life is like in America. So those of you that live out of America, check that out.
Not Friends, not Friends, not Seinfeld.
Well, hold on. We are going to get to some of the movies that we think
don't watch those shows.
movies that don't represent America very well. John Hafford's joined us. Hey, John, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on?
So we're talking about movies and TV shows that represent America well and that don't represent America well.
Yep.
And we just covered some of the shows and movies that we thought represented America well. Do you have another that represent America well?
They all represent different ideals. Like the Lake House was my middle class choice. Forrest Gump was going to be, an all-encompassing sort of. To Kill a Mockingbird was about justice. Coming to America was a comedy view of America. But then again, that movie shows you life in New York.
Right.
New York life is not like suburban or urban life other places.
Right. Not even upstate New York is different than New York
so
City.
you can't judge America by New York, like the hot spots of America.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. The hot spots of America.
Yeah.
Because one of my other choice of not representing America well,
And I see it, and
it's Beverly Hills 90210.
which was horrible. I hated that. But I will say, to this day, if I have to fill out any kind of form on the internet that has a zip code in it, I use 90210 because that is a zip code I remember all the time for something that isn't going to give my location away.
Yeah.
90210, baby. I'm in California.
So that was a show made in the 90s, and John Hafford mentioned Sopranos.
I knew John Hafford would chime in on this.
I've never seen The Sopranos, so I can't make any remarks about that. If you have, you can say something about The Sopranos. What?
My brother in Florida said, "Sean, that head, bro." I think he's talking about my bald
Is it shiny?
head.
Is it shiny?
I'm probably reflecting light in some way.
Probably. Because we didn't add the barn doors on those things.
No, it looks good. Everything looks bright. I love it.
Your kind of show. I like something a little more drama.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows and movies that really don't represent America very well.
So Beverly Hills 90210 is about a family from Minnesota, I think. They moved to
super privileged.
902. They weren't. They were middle class. They were middle class, and but he got a good job, which got him to move to Beverly Hills, and they had to adjust to life in Beverly Hills when they're used to like middle class, and the middle class in Beverly Hills is way different from their middle class, where what they had kids driving in like really expensive cars and stuff like that, and designer everything. And so I thought that was a horrible representation, but I have to admit though, after getting upset with the horrible representation of America that show did, is the problems they dealt with were the same.
Yeah, it's just presented a different way.
Right.
With a different class.
It's just the pool at every house is not real.
Yeah.
A Ferrari in every driveway is not real. And everyone wearing designer clothing is not real. But the relationships, the schoolwork, and the stresses of being in school or feeling rejected and feeling not fitting in is real. So that part of it, I thought they did well, but adding all these extra glamorous stuff wasn't. But Aaron Spalding, he's a Hollywood guy, and his daughter was in it, Kelly, I think.
So he's got to spice it up.
So it had to be something that he related to in people with money. But I think he did it well because even though you have money, you still deal with everyday problems.
Yep, money does not take away your problems.
It does not take away problems. So you still have relationship problems like boyfriend, girlfriends, disagreements with parents.
Or other people, acquaintances. You have political issues.
Political issues. They still exist.
Spiritual issues, just personal hang-ups.
So I thought that show did that part well, but having the material stuff, it didn't do well in that way. And I think a lot of people from overseas just see the material stuff, but aren't focused on what actually is behind all that material stuff, that real life emotions and relationships still exist in I can't believe I'm talking about 90210.
I know you were giving them way too much time. I hated that show. Just the thought of that show getting produced kills me.
And they did a remake of it, reboot, and I didn't watch that. I was happy with the original, and that's fine. Let it lie.
Let it just dissolve in its grave.
So also my brother-in-law Lai has joined us, which is cool. He's over there in sunny California, and I'm sure it's hotter over there than it is here, and it's quite hot here today. I think it was like 80 degrees, 81 when I got here.
It's pretty warm.
It is, and humid.
I don't like the humidity.
Right, so I thought 90210 didn't do a good job. I just saw something on your list that I kind of liked.
You do, I want to mention something like again for teen life. The Breakfast Club movie.
Yes.
So like the hardships and attrition of teens in the misfit world of teens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that movie does a good job. Again,
in a way,
representing they're trying to define diverse groups of people within school, the cliques,
Yep.
And then but then again, some people just might from overseas might focus more on the material stuff.
Yeah.
but the movie's good because it showed a group of people that had the have-nots and the haves, right?
Yep.
And
What'd you see on my list?
I like the School of Rock.
Ah, yes, Jack Black. I was looking at that earlier, and I'm like, I was thinking of if you wanted to learn about the education system, or how people are passionate about teaching others, and you know that positive aspect about America.
But that is universal, which is good.
Yeah.
Because so that's a good representation. How he went about doing it.
It's a humorous way.
Yeah,
you know,
it is humorous way. It's wrong. It's humorous. Of course, it's a made up story.
Yes, it is a made up story.
Well, as far as I know, I because it could be based on something that happened that I don't know about, because weird thing. What I've learned out of life is that there are more strange things that happen in real life that can be shown in Hollywood. That's guaranteed.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of weird stuff that's happening right now that we would think that doesn't happen.
The Outlander.
The Outlander. I kind of have heard of that.
The Outlander is the Outsider.
I don't think I've ever.
He misspelled out. I think it's Outsider. I think he meant to put Outsider. So you know what the Outsider is?
No, I don't.
So I was actually in a play in the 9th grade in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So shout out to my Woonsocket peeps. I was in play. The show never happened because the drama instructor could not get us to focus. But I learned about
And how old
the
are
play.
you?
I was 9th grade.
Ninth grade?
I was like 15.
Yeah, junior high. You can't get junior high kids to focus.
No man.
Talk about.
It was rough though. Woonsocket was a tough time.
I
The Outsiders had a huge cast, but probably not fully accurate. So The Outsiders took place in the 50s, I believe, and it was just about the cast, the different social groups. So they had the socials, and then they had the greasers in there, and the greasers were kind of like the outsiders, and the socials were kind of like the preppy kids, you know. The
Yeah,
preppy
I can
kids
see that.
That kind of like had. Kind of the rich kid, had things handed to them, drive around
And the
fancy
greasers were like
cars.
the John Travolta greasers.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We're the rebels.
The outcast,
Yeah,
you
the
know.
outcast rebels.
People they had a rough upbringing, they had bad home life, so they did horrible in school, even though they could be smart kids.
But they were cool.
But they were cool.
Yeah.
They were respected.
Yeah, they were respected because they were cool. They
no,
did what they wanted.
No, they were respected because they could beat the crap out of you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's also true. They were that clique of.
Right, because they didn't take crap from anybody, because their crap wasn't taken at home. They were just beat up at home if something, they did something wrong. So they took out their anger with other people. So The Outsiders had a huge cast of really A-listers and like the huge actors. Tom Cruise is part of that. Okay, except for one guy. Ralph Macchio was part of them too. I think Matt Dillon was part of them. Patrick Swayze. A few other, but they were really...
I wonder what year this was made.
Oh, Emilio Estevez.
He's got the cast
Yes,
list.
he does.
Looking it up.
Thomas Howell. Yeah, I mentioned Patrick Swayze. So anyways, it was pretty... I think it was really demonstrating the different... cliques within social groups in school, and how it could be tense when that happens. And I don't know if you experienced it. I'll share my experience. The most interesting culture shock for me was going from Bangor, Maine to Lynn, Massachusetts to school. And I went to Eastern Junior High School, which is, I used to go in jogs every morning. We were not that far from the Hunt Beach, so we're right near the ocean, but it was a crappy neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But kids at the beginning of the school day, kids be walking around the school in their groups, right? So we have the Latinos, we'd have the black kids, we'll have the white kids, we'll have the Asians, So it was a culture shock for me. Of course, you'd get scanned going in the door. You have a metal detector going in the door and all that stuff. So, but the crazy thing was, because I'd never experienced that life, it didn't matter to me what color people were. Because in Maine, we're kind of colorblind. I went, so I was friends with anybody that wanted to be my friend. but then they wouldn't like each other. I'm like, what the heck, guys? We like the same thing. Why are you guys like acting up on each other? So I'd make friends with the Latinos, the black kids, Asian kids, the white kids, and the biggest group of friends that I had were Asians and white kids because I'm Asian and I grew up around a lot of white kids, so that would make sense. But I still made friends with the other kids too. I became student council, a president there, and I was devastated because I left Bangor, kind of expecting to run as student council president at Fifth Street Middle School at the time. Then I had to leave, and when I left, I was devastated, and I somehow became. They didn't have student council there, so I reestablished the student council system at the school because they hadn't had it in a while. And I'm like, you guys don't have a student council? What's wrong? Why don't you have one? Do you guys have school dance? They didn't have school dance in a while, so we created school dances for the first time.
School dance, you need that dance.
So that was kind of my. Oh, Rob Lowe's in that too. Thanks.
Rob Lowe, I remember Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe was in. He was in Wayne's World too.
Rob Lowe, yes. That guy's an interesting character.
Yeah, he is.
He always played interesting parts.
So that was the most devastating time of my life, but it also became a big highlight of my life, a turnaround. And people wonder why my religion is important to me, and it's because I found my religion during that time period of my devastation, turned around, became like the highlight of my my life, because I became basically captain of the city championship team, the volleyball championship team, student council president.
So you excelled.
I did.
You turned it.
I was able to turn it around when I was like, I totally felt like my world had crumbled and died when I left Bangor. So that's why I attribute a lot of my ability to turn things around from my faith.
It's funny that you mentioned your story about junior high, because that junior high period was similar for me.
Was it?
Yeah, because I grew up in Texas and then Florida, and my junior high experience was in Florida, Pine Hills Junior High, and it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. It was the same cliques as the same groups. You had the white kids, black kids, the Latino kids, the Asian kids, and the white kids. As being part of that group, half my family is Puerto Rican, so I have Latino in me, but I've always been raised more like a white kid, like Caucasian.
Yeah.
They came to America, established family, and it's the American way.
Yeah.
American way. So I never learned Spanish, even though my family spoke Spanish. But as a white kid in the school, I was picked on so much that I could not wait to be done with school. And it is the reason I quit school when I got to high school. It was such a horrible experience because racial tensions were so high at that time. It was like 1984, 1985. And the Asian kids would fight with the Latino and the black kids. The black kids would fight with the white kids and the Latinos and the Asians. And it was just conflict all over the place. And I was friends, I had friends that were black, Asian, Latino. I was friends with whoever. And it wasn't until history class that I got educated on why I was getting picked on and beat up and they used to call me jitterbug, jit. That was the slang of the time, is jit.
Yeah.
And that was just a time where I felt was a big change for me too, because it caused me to become very self-aware.
Yeah, no, it's that time period. It's very pivotal in a young man's life. I think that's also the time period where a boy becomes a man.
A lot of change happens, I think, in junior high, which leads me into some of these movies that depict that racial tension that was occurring during or before that time of my junior high experience and yours. And after, like, Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington.
I did not see that. I can't believe it or not.
It focuses on football, but the movie deals with that racial integration where black kids were integrated into the white schools and the football teams were mixed. and suddenly the football coach, the head coach, was black, and he was played by Denzel Washington. And then you're dealing with the conflict of that era, you know, between the white kids and the black kids, and then how they got to get along and work as a team together
Yeah.
for that common goal.
Right.
And that deals with that racial tension of that era.
Now I have to go see it.
Yes,
I have to see
it is an awesome movie.
I know it's highly recommended. I think it's one of those standout movies. I haven't had, when it comes to sports, I kind of
Nod off, snooze.
a little bit. Yeah.
I do as well, but the idea of this is, I think the sport is more of an excuse to tell the story of that.
Right. No, I've seen other movies that sports is kind of like that. Just a vehicle to show, you know, to hold all those emotions and feelings and see how those struggles happen within the sport. But I'm gonna have to check that out now.
Yeah, it's a good movie, and like off the racial topic would be Miracle, which was a hockey movie that dealt with patriotism. You know, the U.S. team versus another country, USA versus, and that's where sports are kind of intertwined with patriotism.
Right.
So again, we can't get the whole story about
Right.
America.
No, it's just a flavor. It's just
a small
taste.
piece.
Yeah, it's just a small piece. You have to look beyond that, though, within the story. You have to see the story within the story.
Yeah.
Is what I usually say, because there's more to it than meets the eye. I think stories like that will have many layers that you can take information from. Like some of these movies, I mean, even the basic TV show like Beverly Hills 90210, you see just rich kids, and then you see, oh, they are having problems as rich kids, and some poor, believe it or not, some poor people, I think, in my opinion, like to see rich people having problems with each other.
Ah, too bad you got problems.
Yeah.
Richer, you rich person.
Yeah. But to me, it paints a picture. You dig deeper and you see that, hey, these tear down to the most common thing. They're human beings.
Yep.
They're going to school. They're dealing with struggles, and these struggles we can relate to.
And the struggles are real.
They are.
Isn't that a phrase?
Yeah.
The struggle
is real. Yeah.
And everybody, is looking for companionship or love,
Right.
Food and water,
Acceptance. They're looking acceptance. They want to belong to a group.
Yep, affirmation of their value, of their worth as a human being, as an entity. You know, and you're looking for some kind of joy and happiness in life.
And I think for a lot of people, at least in my circle of friends, they find this at a place of worship.
Some do.
A lot of people that I know, actually, almost the majority of the people I know, they find all these things that fit that in places of worship. The other place that I've found recently that people have found that is at Comic-Con.
Yeah, because it's a group of people that have similar
interests.
Interests, yeah. So they come together.
Right, and they support each other. They provide rides for each other. They volunteer and serve each other, and they. Reminds me, I had a shipment that went to the wrong house. I've been ordering some things on Amazon and it got delivered to the wrong house, and it was not cheap.
and not to mention, but the Amazon shipping is so slow now.
It has slowed down.
They're out of stock of so many things because of
right. But this is through the USPS, okay, and then sorry, a little sidetrack here, but then. I talked to my postman, and he says, yeah, if it's delivered on Sunday, it's not our normal carriers. We have ordinary people dropping those off. So instead of Elm Street and Brewer, they dropped it at Elm Street and Bangor.
Man.
But I was fortunate enough, the person that it landed in front of the door said, there's a big box. Called me up on my cell and said, hey, there's a big box on my porch and belongs to you.
Hey, at least they called you. And
they
did.
did.
Just take it.
So I went to her house. I grabbed my wallet. I was gonna take out, a 20 and give it to her, saying thank you. And she's like, no, I wore this hat. She's like, no, thank you. From one Star Wars fan to another. Just consider this, just how we treat each other. and that's what it's like, you know.
May the force be with you.
Yes, she did say that.
May the force be with you.
She
See?
said
See
that.
what I'm saying?
So, so that was great, and I talked to her, and turns out that her son goes to these Comic Cons.
Yep.
And she says, I'm going to have to go with him the next time there's one that goes on. And I said, well, I photograph all the movie stars, all the photo ops and stuff like that. So hit me up, just talk to me. I'll give you a good deal when you come in, you know, type of thing.
So the fact that there was movies and a television show, or
Right.
movies, Star Wars,
Right.
I'm thinking Star Trek,
Yeah.
that created a commonality between you guys.
Yeah.
A commonality.
Commonality. Yes.
Between you guys, so you could relate.
Yep.
And saved you a lot of hassle. By the way, wasn't there some movies with Freddy Krueger that it was on Elm Street?
The funny thing is,
Wasn't that Elm Street?
it was Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes. Freddy Krueger. Don't go to sleep.
It's been the most peaceful house I've lived in, so it's the opposite effect. So I want to say hi to William Kettle, Billy Kettle. He joined us for on here, and Eric has mentioned ever seen Higher Learning with Omar Epps. Lawrence. Higher Learning.
No, I don't think I've seen it. Is it indie film? Or is it like, I have to look it up.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. And it says something, Ice Cube is in it too. With
Ice Cube's in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see it now then.
So, I mean, even something, he brought up Ice Cube. Was it Bad Boys? What is that?
Bad Boys was a movie, I think, with Will Smith and that comedian.
Okay, no, not that.
Or no, it was the Wayans brothers. Bad Boys?
Okay, not Bad Boys, but...
No, was it Will Smith coming in? Bad Boys 1 and 2?
I was thinking...
Cops?
I was thinking Gooding Jr.
Let me
Remember
tell you
that
something.
show?
Cuba Gooding
Movie?
Jr. is an awesome actor.
He is. I love him.
I love that.
I can't believe he was able to play in... with Tom Cruise there, Show Me the Money. What's that?
Yeah, that was famous. Dang it! What was that movie called?
But he's a scrawny. He's like so small.
I love that character.
I think he only pulled it off because Tom Cruise is also small, so he looks big compared to Tom Cruise.
Yep. Yeah, I love the character that Cuba played in that.
Yes, but he played another one that showed kind of like the Hood, Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood, and life in that area, you know, in the projects and stuff like that, or really bad neighborhoods and stuff like that, where there's shootings and gangs and stuff like that. See, that movie showed what life is like in that particular area.
Yeah.
But it's a small sliver of society here in America, so it doesn't show. But if you look deeper within the movie, you see the relationships are the same.
The relationships and the goal of
Right.
achieving. And Cuba also played, he was like, he played this guy who wanted to sing in another movie that he was trying to make music.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't know,
He's
strung out on drugs and stuff, but he still wanted to try to make music.
He's one of my favorite actors. I really like
He's
him.
good.
I like him a lot. Just the way he pulls it off, I think he's really good at it. But I think my advice is that yes, these movies, after talking about it, they really do have show a good representation of America, but you have to dig in deeper, like see through. Like it's not skin deep.
Yeah,
You
And
gotta-
I feel like some viewers are good at that,
Mhm.
like peering through that.
Right.
But some may just see it the superficial.
Just on the superficial, the
Yeah.
surface. You can't watch the movie like that. If you're not in America, you gotta see through the characters and see that, hey, I have friends like this. I sometimes feel like that. If once you can identify them that way, I think you get a better picture of what life is like in America, but in this particular region of America, or in particular setting in America, because there's so many movies that take place in the school classroom. There's so many. One of my favorite movies is Back to the Future. You know, and that takes place. And he travels through time, so that's another one that shows you a good variety of time in America.
Yep.
It shows the 50s, 80s, and then back in the 1800s.
Yep. But I want to say that Hollywood has to sell the entertainment. And like if you're out there looking at YouTube videos or watching movies, if you were watching a movie or a show that was like the same boring stuff that you deal with every day, you're not going to watch it. So the characters, I think, are exaggerated, or they're made out to be more funny or darker or mysterious than normal. So it's not reality. There's an exaggeration going on so that you're entertained.
Right, but it's a certain level of reality,
Yeah.
because in reality there are even characters that are even more over the top.
Maybe so.
There are even some that are even more over the top than what you see on the screen. But so, what is your takeaway from today's talk?
Man, my takeaway is that you really have to watch like a lot of movies in order to get an idea
Of what America?
all America. But if you're looking to watch a movie on a certain segment or a certain area of the U.S.,
You got to be specific.
you got to be
about-
specific and go, okay, I want to learn about the wars. I want to learn about how the education system is.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a one all-encompassing.
I don't think there is.
Forrest Gump is close, but it's still from that person's perspective.
That person's
That's
perspective, and only covers like 2 or 3 decades of
Yeah.
American history. So yeah, I say the same thing. Don't look at things look at it more than skin deep. Find out more from the personalities that are there, how life in America affects them.
Yep.
And
I had an idea for a movie, and I started writing it.
did you?
It's a book idea called Endless, and if anybody wants to help produce that, it's a person that basically lives forever and goes up through time. So that would be a great opportunity to show how America formed and life in America and all the different
an
things.
immortal.
An immortal, yes.
Yeah,
And it with a different twist on it, so that would be pretty cool.
that would be interesting. I'd be interested in
Like through the
more.
Egyptians, the pharaohs,
Oh,
like all over
that'd
the
be
world,
crazy.
and then show the U.S. formed and
Yeah.
the life that goes on.
Well, kind of like Wonder Woman. She
Yes.
did that.
Look at it. Endless, themovie.com, I think is. Let me double check my website.
So yeah, that's what I take away from it. I think the movies are limited. They can only take a little snapshot, a little corner of the universe we call America, and there isn't just one movie that can give you the full flavor of America that I know of. But I challenge you to tell us if there is one.
Yeah, there might be. I don't know.
If there is one, let us know, because I want to check it out and find out and report back to you about that.
That's right. So.
All right, until
on
next
that,
time,
Until next time.
we're the Average Joe,
Daily Show.
right? And because this is where we explain things that the average Joe should be able to understand.
Or from our average Joe perspective.
That's right.
All right.
See ya.
Peace.